Human experimentation has a dark and twisted history. Advancements in medicine have come at a cost, and raise the question, is it right to risk the health of a few for the benefit of the many? With that being said, here are 5 of the most unethical human experiments in history. Number 1. In the 1950s and 60s, Dr. Chester Southam injected his patients with live cancer cells. He wanted to see how people's immune systems would respond. Southam's patients included prison inmates and the elderly. Cancer cells were often injected without their permission, and when consent was given, the true nature of the experiment was not disclosed. This resulted in the growth of cancerous nodules. Eventually, people found out what Southam was up to, and legal action was taken against him. This resulted in his medical license being suspended for less than a year. Afterwards, he went on to become the president of the American Association for Cancer Research. Number 2. The monster study was conducted in 1939 by speech pathologist Dr. Wendell Johnson. It was a stuttering experiment which was carried out on 22 orphans. The goal was to find a cure for stuttering. The children were split into 2 groups. Half of the children were praised for the fluency of their speech, whilst the other half were criticised and ridiculed for their speech. Many of the children who received negative feedback suffered damaging psychological effects, resulting in a worsening of speech issues. The study did not get published due to the number of ethical violations which took place. Number 3. David Peter Reimer's genitals were accidentally maimed during a circumcision which went wrong during his infancy. Dr. John Money, a psychologist who was studying the idea that gender is learned, convinced the family to raise David as a girl. He realised that he was not a girl at around 10 years old and started living as a boy again at 15. David later went public with his experience in order to discourage similar medical practices. He was teased throughout his childhood and took his life at 38 years old after battling with severe depression. Number 4. The Tuskegee syphilis study was conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Health Service and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. 600 African American men in Alabama enrolled in the study after being promised free health care. The aim of the study was to observe the effects of syphilis when left untreated. The experiment consisted of 399 men with latent syphilis and 201 men who did not have the disease. The men were given aspirin and mineral supplements, which were not an effective treatment. In July 1972, the experiment was leaked to the public. By this time, 28 of the participants had died, 100 had passed away from related complications, over 40 of their partners had contracted the disease, and it had been given to 19 children at birth. The surviving participants and the relatives of those who died received a $10 million settlement. Guidelines were also introduced to protect participants in future research projects. Number 5. Between the years of 1956 and 1971, residents at the Walbrook School for Mentally Disabled Children were infected with hepatitis in order to develop a vaccine. Dr. Saul Krugman saw the school as an ideal research environment, claiming that many of the children already had hepatitis due to the unsanitary conditions in which they lived. Letters were sent to the parents of participants and informed consent was given. However, some argue that these letters downplayed the fact that their children would intentionally be injected with hepatitis. The study led to the theory that there were two types of hepatitis, Hep A and Hep B. The study raised ethical questions surrounding experimentation on mentally disabled children. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate every single one of you. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week for another video.